Donald Trump built his political legacy on one powerful idea: bringing American jobs back home. Factories, farms, small towns, he promised to revive them all. But in a shocking twist, two of America's most patriotic brands, John Deere and Ford, just stabbed that promise in the back. And the fallout? It's not just political, it's financial, emotional, and deeply personal. Because this wasn't just about jobs, it was about betrayal. It started quietly. John Deere, the green and yellow giant at the center of rural America, announced it was shifting a chunk of its production to Mexico. No press conference, no apology, just a low-key corporate update that sent shockwaves through Trump's base. Trump's response? Explosive. He threatened a 200% tariff on every John Deere product made outside the U.S. Just days later, Ford followed suit, announcing it would expand manufacturing in foreign countries while scaling back at home. This wasn't one brand turning away, it was a movement. And Trump? He wasn't going to let it slide. At a rally in Iowa, Trump stood in front of tens of thousands of supporters and launched a verbal missile. He declared an all-out economic war, a 200% tariff on John Deere's foreign-made goods, a 25% blanket tariff on imported Ford vehicles and auto parts. The crowd roared, but behind the curtain, CEOs were panicking. Analysts warned the price of a new Ford truck would rise by $10,000. John Deere tractors up by 30%. Wall Street started bleeding. Ford's stock plummeted. Deere lost $10 billion in value in 1 week. But this wasn't just about profits. It was about trust. And the real hit was still to come. Across Iowa, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the heart of Trump country, things got ugly. For years, farmers believed in Trump. They trusted John Deere. But now, both were in conflict. Trump told them to boycott Deere, and they listened. Tractor parades began with no green in sight. Farmers painted over logos. Merchandise sales cratered. Online groups exploded with calls to ditch Deere. But it wasn't just about symbols. The impact was brutal. Dealerships lost business. Repair shops specializing in Deere saw their calendars go blank. Farmers who'd relied on Deere for generations began looking at Case IH, Kubota, Mahindra, anything but green and yellow. The boycott spread like wildfire. While farmers turned on Deere, Wall Street was in full-blown panic. Trump's tariff threats caused Deere and Ford stock to crash. Hedge funds dumped shares. Mutual funds lost billions. Pension plans for everyday workers took hits. The Dow fell 600 points in a single day. And Trump? He doubled down. He warned, any company that moves jobs overseas will pay the price. That's when the business world realized this wasn't just about Deere. It was about all of them. While Trump raged and markets crashed, Deere's rivals pounced. Case IH flooded conservative talk radio with ads positioning themselves as the true American brand. Kubota ran social media campaigns with red, white, and blue themes, offering discounts to anyone trading in Deere equipment. Sales surged. Brand loyalty flipped overnight. Farmers who'd never driven anything but Deere walked into showrooms asking about alternatives. Even foreign-owned brands saw a boost because this wasn't about logic anymore. It was about revenge. But while tractors were switching hands, a deeper issue was quietly building under the surface. The real crisis wasn't just about boycotts or sales. It was about supply chains. John Deere's factories relied on precision parts from Mexico, Germany, Brazil. Ford's vehicles needed electronics and components from across the globe. Tariffs didn't just raise prices, they broke the system. Shipments stalled. Parts were delayed, raw materials vanished. Factories couldn't keep up. Workers in Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio lost shifts. Layoffs began. Car prices skyrocketed. Farm equipment became scarce. Even construction sites stalled due to equipment shortages. This wasn't the revival of American manufacturing. It was its slow-motion collapse. Then came the biggest move of all. In December 2025, the CEOs of John Deere and Ford released a joint statement. It wasn't just defiant, it was brutal. They declared they would not reverse their global expansion. They would not bend to political pressure. And they would not risk financial ruin to appease one man's vision. John Deere announced new facilities in India and Brazil. Ford expanded in Vietnam and Mexico. Other brands followed: Caterpillar, Whirlpool, General Motors. They weren't waiting for Trump to change course, they were leaving. Trump promised to bring back Made in America, but by the end of 2025, that promise had flatlined. Because here's the hard truth: manufacturing doesn't live in one country anymore. Global supply chains are too complex. Automation has killed low-skill jobs, and no amount of speeches can change that. Trump's tariffs didn't bring jobs back. They pushed companies away. The very dream he sold, of factories, pride, and prosperity, collapsed under its own weight. And the people left standing in the rubble? This wasn't a story about CEOs. It wasn't even about Trump. It was about the farmers who couldn't afford tractors anymore, the factory workers laid off in Ohio and Michigan, the small-town families watching dealerships close and costs rise. These weren't just statistics. They were the people Trump had promised to protect. And now they were left with nothing. No jobs, no savings, no dream. So here's the question. Was this fight ever winnable? Or was the dream of American manufacturing always a fantasy, one we just didn't want to wake up from? Thanks for watching. If you want to stay ahead of stories like this, real ones, raw ones, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next.